what they're going through right now, if that's happening to them as successful multimillionaires that are, well known, what do you think is going to happen to the average guy?
And guys are like, oh, hold on, bro. I'm in Ohio. I'm safe. Hold on, my friend. So the girl internet in Idaho can be flown out to California or Miami. So nobody's safe, bro.
And here's the thing for all the people that might say,
oh, Myron, you're just angry. You're a misogynist.
Well, all the stats show this. Like, women swipe right only on about 5% of men on dating apps. Women only want a small minority of men in general, so especially in their peak years when they're most attractive. Women need to respect you first. When a girl makes more money than you, she loses respect for you. You got to have money, muscles, game, and frame. And by frame, as in, like, you have the ability to check your girl when she gets out of balance.
You said this in a very different way than I would say it.
Colorful.
But I do not disagree with the general message of what you said. Welcome to another Wealthy Wednesday. I'm your host, Ryan Pineda. I've got the host of the famous or infamous podcast, Fresh and Fit with Myron and Fresh. What's up, man?
Thanks for having us.
What's up, brother? Got to be in Vegas, man. Ryan.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys are going to do in Vegas with you two.
What's that saying? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? No, but
I would just be working.
Working, bro. Working, yeah. Focus on work.
No womanizing.
No womanizing.
Not too much.
Just working.
Man of God,
There we go. So
Make 'em work.
We're hanging out today. We just filmed on your guys' show, and you guys are going to go film with Graham Stephan and a bunch of great things. But, I think it's great because today we're going to talk about health. And I know, like, a lot of you guys' podcast was first started with health in mind and, getting in better health to develop charisma and confidence and all of those things. And so I'm just curious, kind of like, what kind of philosophies do you guys have on health?
Well, I'm big on, like, lifting weights and, eating properly, high protein diet, high in vegetables, your fruits, your kale, your spinach, 80-90% of your diet coming from wholesome foods that, were around 10,000 years ago. There's always, it's always open for a little bit of variance, right? You want to have a piece of cake here, you want to have a piece of candy here. It's not the end of the world. But as long as you allot your food into your macronutrient needs, and 80 to 90% come from healthy sources, you'll be fine. Resistance training, keep a diversified training type of regimen, you'll be straight for the most part. Sleep 8 to 10 hours a night.
10 hours?
8 to 10.
Who's got time for 10 hours of sleep, dude?
Hey, man, I try to get it. I try to get 8 to 10 on the weekends, especially.
If you want those games, man, you got to put the time in.
Do you use a sleep tracker to track that 8 to 10, or are you doing like 8 to 10 in bed?
I'll do like 8 to 10, like trying to sleep. Like, I mean, most of the time I end up getting like 6 to 9 in that range, but I shoot for 10 if I can, especially like on weekends.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel like this about the Oura Ring? But I used to think that I would sleep a lot more hours, like many more hours than I actually do. And then you get this and you're like, wait, I was in bed 8 hours and I only slept 6.
Yeah. You guys ever tried using like the Oura Ring or
sleep tracking?
I don't track it. I just go off of how I feel as far as like feeling good.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was like a...
yeah, Brandon wears this too. This is like one of those things that like tracks your, like the quality of your sleep.
That was like a wedding band.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It doubles as a
doubles.
wedding band.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's both.
But like so the app, you check it every day. And so like I'll look at it in the morning and it'll give you literally a sleep score. It'll be like 70 out of 100. Your sleep sucked last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll be like, all right, that's why I feel like crap. That makes sense.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
So you've got
Our buddy Brandon Carter uses the same thing.
Oh, Brandon.
Oh yeah, Carter.
Yeah, he uses that too.
So Brandon, I'm on a 60-day challenge right now. Brandon is my accountability coach.
Oh, nice.
wow.
Nice.
You got a good coach then.
He don't play, bro.
No, dude. So the thing with Brandon I like, and we should get him on this episode. I need to go text him.
Yeah, that's good.
The thing I like about him is he's like, he said something to me while we were on a live one time. He's like, dude, I like to tell people you got to raise your standards. That's like what it's all about. He's like, people always say I want to achieve this goal or that goal, but they always settle to their standard of like whatever the minimum is.
Exactly.
And so it's like for Brandon, his minimum standard is like super jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll never go below that.
Yeah.
And whereas me, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really need a 6-pack. Like, I'm good. Because like the cost is hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot.
I just want to feel good and look good, man.
To get to that level, to get the visible abs, like you have to do that much more work to get to it. Every single digit body fat that you try to cut off, it becomes harder and harder as you cut down.
Yeah.
Well, what's your take on that too? Because I've got a concierge doctor that I just started with, and he basically was like, "Look, man, if you want to build muscle properly, then you're going to need to be at 10% body fat minimum."
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to
have
maintain
some body
it,
fat, yeah.
If you wanna,
I think the 6-pack is keeping a lot of guys the guys that are ectomorphs from putting on muscle. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, 10% is very ripped. That's like lean. That's super, super lean. Once you're like, 10% or below, that you're pretty much like ripped.
For sure. I mean, it's harder to build muscle at that.
Yeah, because
lower body fat.
To stay lean, you got to be, at calorie maintenance or deficit, but to build lean body mass, you have to be at a calorie surplus. So the two counteract each other.
For sure. So what's y'all's like outlook on that in terms of when you're teaching people?
So I tell people you want to be pretty much at calorie maintenance or a little bit above, 200 to 300 above. And that way you'll make gains. Obviously it's going to be significantly slower, but you'll be able to, because I did a dirty bulk one time, which for the audience wondering, a dirty bulk is like when you get fat. Almost you gain a bunch of weight. You build some muscle mass too and you get super strong, but I'll never do that again because you feel like crap. You end up eating like a pig. It's very easy to go off the wheels. So slow and sustainable is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, I did a dirty bulk my whole life. Luckily, now we changed that. We changed that now.
You're just bulking.
Yeah, you look good. You look good, man.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
If that's a dirty bulk. That's cool. Did y'all ever see Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No,
dude. This actor, he was in decent shape, and he put on like 70 pounds of fat for a season. And then he came out the next season ripped and changed his character into a gay guy.
Yeah.
To be ripped. Like this ripped tan. Yeah. Anyways, just the kind of body transformations that Hollywood is able to prove out, make it so that I don't think anybody has an excuse not to be whatever they want their body to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're dedicated. You look at the guy that played Captain America and the guy that played Wolverine, like they got a coach
Hugh Jackman
that's dedicated. Yeah, Hugh Jackman. Sorry, They got a coach that's dedicated to them. They're training all day. They're eating meals that are specifically created by a chef. Their macronutrients are on point. A lot of the times they're using performance enhancing. They're on some cycles, if y'all know what I'm saying.
Wink.
But it is what it is. At the end of the day, there's no excuses. You could build the body you want.
100%. So, for you guys. You guys started podcasting during COVID, right? And now you guys have built this massive podcast. I mean, I don't even know how many views and downloads have you guys gotten?
Right now we're at about
1.28
million subscribers, and we average somewhere between 15 to 20 million views a month on the Fresh and Fit channel. Then we also have a Clips channel where that one is doing like 45 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
And views. So, I mean,
46 million to be exact.
46
for the Clips channel.
47 on the way.
Yeah.
Is Fresh is the data guy, I think.
We both look at the data, but yeah, I mean, definitely we're always looking at the numbers and seeing how we can improve. And like the thing with YouTube nowadays, it's like, and you know this too, shorts and clips are the way, you know what I mean? That's how you grow the channel the most, because we live in a very short attention span economy, right? With TikTok era is what I call it. So people want to be able to get shorts like, 10, 20 seconds of some entertainment. And then if they really like it, they'll be like, where is this from? And then they'll go ahead and find the original stuff.
Grant Cardone said this back in the day. He says, you want to be always in people's ears and eyes.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're everywhere, every single time, they're going to find you eventually.
Yeah. On our last Wealthy Wednesday, Cardone hopped on the Twitter space randomly. And so he basically hijacked it, which was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was.
We were hanging out for like an hour just talking about the banking collapse and all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure your people are freaked out about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's going.
What do you mean your people?
Oh, jeez. Just their audience, dude.
Yeah.
Come on, right? You're going to get us canceled.
Yeah.
No, just playing.
So what do you think about like Andrew Tate and these guys? Because I see people in like our YouTube right now who are like, "Hey, free Top G." You guys had him on, right?
Yeah. Andrew's a good friend of ours. We know him personally. We spent a good amount of time with him. We lived in his house with him for a few weeks in Romania.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
They're gracious to host us, and yeah, dude. I mean, they are.
But what's going on with like they just like extended his prison sentence? Is
he still in?
Again.
Yeah, he's still in, unfortunately. And it's ridiculous because he's still in the face of all this exculpatory evidence, which for the audience is wondering, like, that's evidence that shows that they're more than likely that they're evidence that would exclude them from being culpable of the crime. And in this case, you got CCTV footage of the girls coming in and out of the house that made the accusations. You got WhatsApp messages where they're talking about selling the store to Netflix and Hulu. You got the fact that the girl was like jogging every single day with the dog, right? And it's seen on camera. It's just, and then right after they were like, allegedly held against their will, they're in the French Riviera hanging out and partying, with Rolexes and Bentleys, but like no one is talking about this. So it's like, what's going on is, ridiculous. It's a violation of human rights. It's unjust. And, and I tell guys all the time, look, you don't have to like Andrew, you don't have to like Tristan, but what they're going through right now, if that's happening to them as successful multimillionaires that are, well known, what do you think is going to happen to the average guy?
Yep.
And I say, for example, right, let's say that's your brother, your friend, your cousin. How do you feel that they were wrongfully put in jail?
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, bro, what the heck's going on? So that's how we feel right now, because we know them very well as well. And like, they're genuine people. They're very good guys. And they care about the audience and people. So it's just unfair, man.
And I used to investigate human trafficking, like unlike a lot of these idiots that are on Twitter and stuff like that talking about this, because I used to be a special agent with Homeland prior to this.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and this is not human trafficking whatsoever. Like, it's not even close. Like, these are just girls that wanted to get some clout. And also, a lot of people don't talk about this. Like, one of the girls that made the accusations, she wanted 200,000 euros. And when Andrew didn't want to give it to her, she comes out, oh, I'm going to go ahead and accuse you of XYZ.
One of my students who actually lives in Miami, his name's Joe Grulon. He was a Homeland Security guy too.
Oh, okay.
Super random. Like, but I guess that makes sense. There's probably a lot going on.
Do you know which agency for DHS?
I'm not sure, but like
okay.
he spent like 10 years there, and then he went full time in real estate investing, and he's doing really good flipping houses now.
Okay.
So HSI agent, right?
Yes.
And so
that's what I was.
From there, you've got massive credibility to analyze the Tate situation.
Yeah.
So with human trafficking, like, do you want to talk about some of the stuff you've actually seen that is human trafficking?
Yeah,
because
sure.
It proves that what they're going through is just like, it's very similar to the MeToo kind of movement. Yeah. They're being abused and kind of targeted, emasculated, and eventually the masses are forgetting slowly what's happening, the injustices. So can you talk about what you've seen as an HSI agent?
Yeah. So the thing is, the one thing I do want to let everybody know is that human trafficking is not as common as people think it is. It's actually most of the time, I'll be honest with y'all, because I've been on these cases, it's prostitutes and then pimps getting caught. And then sometimes the prostitute will say, oh, I was being held against my will. But the reality is that she was just mad at the pimp. He didn't pay her what she wanted or whatever. And she was complicit in the entire thing, which if that's the case, then it's simply prostitution, not human trafficking. And there is a clear line and distinction between the two. But the thing is that human trafficking sounds sexy and people like to say it, but the reality is most of the time it's actually human smuggling, which is another crime. Human smuggling is illegally bringing people into the United States through some type of illicit organization that specializes in moving people across the world into the United States through transit countries such as the Bahamas, Mexico, etc. It goes very deep. But human smuggling and human trafficking are two different crimes. But human trafficking, a lot of the times, it does exist, of course, but it's not as common as people think, and or it's commonly mistaken as human smuggling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what are the accusations against the Tate brothers exactly?
That the girls were
Graped.
We're on YouTube, I'll say that. And then that they were being held against their will and trafficked, which, is comical because, we did a whole podcast where we looked at the CCTV footage. You can clearly see them going in and out on several occasions. And in one case, they even came back from the mall with shopping bags.
If you're being trafficked, why would you come back with shopping bags?
Right.
Please tell me.
Can you define the difference between the smuggling and trafficking for people? Is it money changing hands, or like what defines the difference?
Okay, you guys want me to explain this?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way it works is with human smuggling, right? First, the person's got to be illegally brought into the United States, right? And what happens is they have to go through some type of illicit organization which specializes in getting them into the United States, right? It's a transnational criminal organization thing, right? So let's say a Chinese national wants to come to the United States. They got to go ahead through a Chinese smuggler to get them over to a transit country, whether it's the Bahamas or Mexico that's close by. Let's say they go to Mexico. They get into Mexico City. They pay another guy there in Mexico City. He facilitates their movement north into, let's say, a Nuevo Laredo, right? Which is right across the border from Laredo, Texas, which is where I used to work.
I played baseball in Laredo.
Oh, okay.
It's the Lemurs.
Yes, it is the
Yep. I played in Laredo. Let me tell you,
hey,
I got
nothing there.
So sick there because they're like, bro, you can't drink the water in Laredo.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why? I'm in
means
America.
Getting married to a chick down there.
Yeah, and they're like,
don't drink the water.
It's the swampiest, dude.
Well, and they're like, it's so close to Mexico that the water's just bad too.
Yeah,
and I'm like, really? In America?
Yeah, it's a dual meaning. Like don't drink the water doesn't mean like marry a local because you'll have to you'll get stuck there, and then the other one is the water. Yeah. So then the subject gets over to like, let's say Nuevo Laredo, right? At that point, they got to pay something a quota to, at the time it was the Zetas when I was there, but now it's probably Cartel del Noreste. So they got to pay $1,000 to cross the river. That's a whole other organization they're paying. But long story short, they're paying a bunch of people along their route through Mexico to get into the United States. Then once they get into the United States, they typically come into a border town, let's say Laredo. The job from that point is to get in, right, with a foot guide and then get picked up in a car and get put to a stash house. Once they're at that stash house, they spend a certain amount of time there until they're moved north, typically to San Antonio, Texas. That's like one of the biggest transit cities in the United States, right?
That's where I was last week.
Bam. So they get to San Antonio, and then from there, they got to pay up the next portion of their smuggling fees. And then the human trafficking typically starts there, where let's say the family isn't able to come up with the money, they got debts that they got to pay, whatever. Then that's where, you know, they got to work to pay it off or whatever it may be. So that's where it typically begins there, is where with unpaid human smuggling dues. Now, can you be trafficked without being a foreign national? Of course, right? There's U.S. citizens that get trafficked all the time. But with human trafficking, a lot of times it's not that common. The easy way to prove it, though, is if like the person's a minor. If they're under 18 and they're working under a pimp, it's automatic human trafficking. It's going to be federal. But it goes deeper than that, but that's like a kind of a bird's eye view to explain it.
Yeah. So, I mean, to think about Tate, right? Regardless of what you think about him, if somebody's being detained unjustly, it's not right, right? The thing I always look at, right? People are like, dude, how could you support Tate and all these things, right? Because I'm not a womanizer, right? Like I've got a totally different philosophy on that, but I always take the good that I can take from everyone. I'm like, all right, dude, this guy Andrew Tate blew up out of nowhere. This guy like used this marketing tactic never seen before to explode. This guy is also, you know, empowering young men who are being, you know, emasculated from all these things. I'm like, there's a lot of things he's doing that you got to really look at and say like, man, dude, you know, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, right? Like it's usually not going to be from being soft and out of shape and all these things. Like you got to have confidence. You got to have masculinity. Like those things are all going to be very important. Yeah.
And there's a void too, because I mean, just to be honest, we live in a very pussified world where guys are soft, right? We tend to do things. We tend to think the feminine way of doing things is the best way to do things. And guys aren't working out. They're not going to the gym. Testosterone is lower, you know, than ever before. So guys really got to get their shit together. And the thing is that, you know, we have more sexless men now than ever before. And I think a big part of that is, you know, besides the explosion of social media and women being fairly delusional in what they think they deserve, it's also guys not holding their end of the bargain and being strong masculine men that can provide.
Interesting.
It's both parts.
Yeah.
Beta males.
What's funny is like, I tell this to guys all the time, right? It's like, yo, you know, at the end of the day, you can control yourself. Yeah. Right? Like, so how great of a provider you are for your spouse, how you look, you know, how you serve, like all those things. If you do a better job, more than likely your spouse and, you know, whoever you're with is going to have much better relationship with you.
Absolutely.
And be much better. Like it starts with you more than just like, oh, my wife doesn't do this. She doesn't. It's like, bro, like first look at yourself in the mirror before anything.
But I think also to touch your point as well, most guys don't have a father figure in their lives. So for example, what's a good role model? The rapper you see on TV, you know, the drug dealer. Who's a good role model? And Tate filled that void because for example, he's in shape, makes good money, and he's well articulated, very successful. That type of guy isn't easy to find. So he filled that void where, for example, who should I look up to? Andrew Tate.
So. Dude, it's so funny you brought that up because we're reading a book right now called Wild at Heart. And it's a man's book it's a Christian man's book. And basically what they talk about is that you're really imprinted on by some kind of father figure your first 10 years of life. Like,
Uncle,
good or bad, brother, right?
Yeah.
If your dad's non-existent, that's going to cause insecurities down the road. If your dad's great and loving and there for you and supports you, like it's going to have a different impact. And I think back at my life and, you know, my dad was an entrepreneur and I'm like, oh, it's weird I ended up as an entrepreneur. You know, my dad is still married to my mom and he was always there at my baseball games and supportive. You know, my dad told me, hey, dude, you can do whatever you want to do. Like you can be a baseball star. You can do anything, right? And I believe that to this day because like that's what he told me ever since I was a kid. And then I see people who are very scared and timid and fearful and they lack self-confidence. And you look back at their childhood and it's like, hey, don't do that. That's too scary. Play it safe. You're not good enough for that. Settle.
Yep.
And I think that's why Tate has exploded in the way that he has because men are so hungry for permission to just embrace their wild heart, be dangerous, stop apologizing for it. And, you know, it does take some confirmation from a male figure in your life that you care about.
Yeah, and if you know it's possible, you can make it happen. If you don't know it's possible, it's like, okay, well, you know what? This is my ceiling. These are my standards, like Brandon would say. This is all I know. So it makes sense.
Yeah, he also criticizes things that people are scared to criticize, right? Like you can't criticize women in 2023. Like if you say anything negative about them, you're a misogynist or you're misogynistic. No, I'm realistic. That's how it goes. Like the reality is that feminism has come in and messed up a lot of things between men and women. It's hurt the family unit, right? We have the lowest birth rates, and women are less happy now than ever before, but they have all the same, rights and privileges, and they have more access than they ever had before. Why are they less happy? Well, because a lot of them are going into a workforce and chasing careers, right, and money and status over a family and children. And we know, right, from the studies and everything else that typically women tend to derive pleasure from people, and those people tend to be their family. So it is what it is. But it's he calls out these things as well. But like, if you say any of these things, oh my God, you're a terrible person. So
Wealthcon is coming to Hollywood. If you've ever been to any of my events, you know they're life-changing. We get the best speakers, we have the best venues, we have the best parties, after parties, and networking that you could imagine. I've met so many people who ended up becoming business partners of mine at my events. I've made great relationships, and the people who have attended have done the same. And so I want to see you at my next one in Hollywood, California, April 4th to the 6th. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We've got speakers like Chris Crone, Lewis House. We got Roe Built from Bigger Pockets. The list goes on and on. We have a huge lineup of speakers, and I want you to be there. So if you want to attend the event and learn more, go to wealthcon.org. Once again, you can go to wealthcon.org and go learn more about the event and register today. So let's switch gears for a little bit. So, we're talking about Tate. We're talking about being fit. For you, I want to talk about your guys' story a little bit. So, Myron, you were talking about how you were in Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Fresh, you're from Barbados.
Yep.
And you were
Coconuts
talking
in Barbados.
Yeah, and you were talking about how you went and tried to work for Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
And you got laughed out of the room, and it's on YouTube. And so everyone needs to check that out.
Was it a prank video or was it real?
No, it was definitely real, bro. That was real emotions, man.
Show, yeah.
Oh no,
It's tough, brother.
But at some point, you guys come together and you create. How did this podcast begin and get so successful?
Well, a number of things happened, but long story short, basically, I got into YouTube. I was doing prank videos, and they were doing pretty well. A couple went viral, doing gold digger pranks, and then Myron was doing fitness videos, for example, doing how to work out, how to eat properly, how to sleep properly, all that stuff, right? So we had a mutual friend called Solo TV 84. He had a podcast on YouTube. So I did a show with him at one point. Myron did as well. He said, "Yo, bro, like I know a guy in your city in Brickell. Like you should meet up with him." I'm like, "Who is it?" "Oh, Myron Gaines." I'm like, "All right, cool. We'll talk about it, whatever." So I get a DM from Myron one day. He said, "Yo, bro, Solo told me to hit you up. Let's talk about it." And we spoke for like an hour on Instagram video call.
Yeah.
And like we had the same type of like mindset towards girls, money, real estate. I was like, "Oh, cool."
Let's keep it 1,000. We basically dealt with the same bullshit with these hoes.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
It's the same thing. So from there, because here's the thing: when you meet a guy that's good with chicks, that's not common, right?
Yeah.
So that we immediately like, oh, okay, you do that. Okay, this is your strategy. Okay, cool, blah, blah, blah. So immediately head it off. And then we realized, then we started doing a podcast like, helping guys to be more attractive, because dating in Miami is very competitive, right? You're competing with athletes, celebrities. All these guys have a second and third home there.
Yeah.
So we started doing a podcast, and we realized that guys had issues with dating for other reasons than just not being attractive. Like they didn't have their money on point. They stunk. They didn't go to the gym. They were fat. Their tonality and their speaking skills weren't good, etc. All these different things that, affect your overall package as a man.
That they can control.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were like, okay, let's go ahead and do a pod and start helping guys with becoming a better man in general, and having the women be a byproduct of being a better man. So that's how Fresh to Fit was kind of birthed. And then we did our first podcast October 26, 2020. We had like maybe a couple thousand subscribers, and now fast forward a little over 2 years later, and we're going on 3 years now.
3 years now, yeah.
And we're at 1.28, so it's been great. I didn't anticipate that we would be this successful this quickly, but we're blessed, man. And honestly, it's great because I just came back from Dubai, and people recognize us over there. When we're in Romania, people recognize us. We're in London, people recognize us.
That's sweet.
So it's I get stopped all the time by people, and it really tells me that our work is impacting them and helping them become better men. And we've helped a lot of guys from committing self-deletion or hurting themselves or simping on a chick that doesn't like them. I mean, I talk about this in my book, Why Women Deserve Less So Much. Book is in stores right now.
Plug right there.
Yeah. And honestly, the book isn't really necessarily about like giving women less. It's about guys understanding that they deserve more, and to not simp on women that don't give them the same reciprocal value that men give. Because a lot of guys go into this terrible mindset of, oh, let me just, give to this girl who isn't giving me anything back. And it's like, no, cut your losses, get rid of her, increase your value, go get girls that want you back to the same level. Don't simp.
Yep.
And not to mention, we spoke about earlier having a good father figure, right? So, for example, we bring to them results and also things to think about as a man. And as a result, right, if you're a guy out here, you don't know where to go, here's a start. Look at what we're saying here. Take it as, some advice. And if it works for you, great. But at the same time, like, most guys don't know where to go or where to start.
Yeah,
a lot of guys struggle with women in today's day and age. And there's a bunch of reasons for that.
Yeah.
But guys need to be keenly aware of how dating, courting, dealing with women in 2023 is significantly different than when even maybe their older brother or their father was dealing with women. So advice from back then isn't necessarily going to work nowadays, because if you act like a gentleman in 2023, you're going to get punished for it. Versus, 50 years ago, you could show up on a first date,
flowers,
open the car door with flowers, and, oh, you're my lovely, and all this other stuff. But if you do that now, you're going to get stepped on.
And I would say, guys, the biggest problem nowadays is approaching girls, either online or offline.
What do you mean? They're scared, or they're
nervous,
not making the right hook?
They might be like, I might get me too'd. There's so many things that happen nowadays. Like, yo, bro, should I actually do this? You know what? Fear setting in. I'm gonna take a step back. You never know.
Well, not only that, but I mean, if we're gonna just deal with the elephant in the room, I'm just gonna say it. A lot of women are frankly delusional about where they think they stand versus the men that try to talk to them. A lot of girls have an overinflated sense of self-worth. And you can blame Instagram, the dating apps, etc. What ends up happening is girls, right, will have access to the highest value men in the world now, thanks to the internet, right? She'll get a DM from a rapper, hey, I'll fly you out, whatever, or she'll deal with an athlete, whatever. And this girl, maybe she's a 5, a 6, average looking, not too great, but she's able to go ahead and get sex into a date with a high level guy. So she thinks, oh, this is what I deserve. So then a regular guy comes in at her level and she thinks, oh, I could do better than this because I've already dated guys that are millionaires that are successful. What she doesn't realize is, just like she puts guys in the friend zone, those higher status guys put her in the sex zone. They're not going to take her seriously. But she takes that mindset and applies it to all the other men she deals with. So the average guy ends up fighting for scraps in the dating marketplace.
Yeah. And guys are like, oh, hold on, bro. I'm in Ohio. I'm safe. I'm not in a major city like Miami or New York. Hold on, my friend. It's Instagram.
There's the
girl
internet.
in Idaho or Bucktown, Nebraska can be flown out to California or Miami. So nobody's safe, bro.
And here's the thing for all the people that might say, oh, Myron, you're just angry, you're a misogynist, blah, blah, blah. All the stats show this. Like, women swipe right only on about 5% of men on dating apps, right? Most women find most men as unattractive, extremely unattractive.
Yeah.
Women only want a small minority of men in general, so, and especially in their peak years when they're most attractive. So 1 in 3 men right now is a virgin or has had sex in a year. So guys are definitely being affected by this significantly. We have more guys that are sexless now than ever before.
Your best bet is to become the best man that you can be.
Yeah.
Not for the woman, but for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, 1000% for everything. So this is something I have not even considered because I haven't been in the dating scene. I'm going on 10 years of marriage and
Congrats, bro.
Thank you, bro.
It's good,
Thank
bro.
you, bro.
Yeah.
I think I'm the longest here. Am I the longest here? All right, here we go. Might have more years combined than everyone in the room.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
So I most of the people that follow me, many of them are married, they got kids, they got all this stuff, right? So I'm like, now my mind is thinking like, oh man, what about the single guys? Like, how is their life right now with all the distractions of the world, right? Like you could go spend hours a day on Tinder trying to go find your soulmate. And and I'm thinking now too, this is not what I'm thinking, so if my wife's listening, but I'm like, if I was dating today, like, oh my gosh, how
Where'd you start?
distracting would it be like for my business and my goal? Like, cause especially if you're famous, I mean, you guys deal with it. So it's like, how do you guys deal with like knowing if the girl is coming for you for the fame or like, are you guys even looking for are you guys looking for a wife? Like, what's your guys' deal?
Well, here's the thing for us, like we got like what I call bad clout. Like they'll be like, oh, you're that guy that kicks girls off your podcast. So it's
You're a
like,
misogynist.
here we go. So a lot of the time it's they're already coming in
A
with
deterrent,
a negative frame
if
if they know who I am. So my fame hurts me a lot of the time. So, but it is
You're
what
already
it is.
at a huge
it hurts
Yeah.
if anything. Oh, you're friends with Andrew Tate. Like, yeah, I am. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? So that happens a lot as well. But it is what it is. I think to answer your question, you gotta be in the defensive. And it sucks that it has to be that way, but guys really got to be able to screen out girls that are going to waste their time or just use them for resources. And I hate to say this, but the reality is you got to work to get sex from the girl as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because once you get that out the way, then you can try to figure out what she's really there for.
And also for guys, right? Imagine this. We're taught to put everyone before ourselves. Like, especially if you're raised by a single mom, oh yeah, put her first, she's a queen. But as a guy, put yourself first and decide what do you want out of life? What do you want out of, like, you know, relationships? And for example, if you're a guy that wants to do better in life, cool. Right now, focus on my career, my passion, my purpose. Girls are a byproduct of that. But what happens is, you know what? Forget that. Focus on girls. And you spend your whole life chasing girls, and then what do you end up with? Nothing. It's sad.
Well, and I think too, at the end of the day, your strategy of try to have sex with a girl as soon as possible, so that you can get that out of the way and see what she's really about.
Yeah,
I think what I hear there is basically you're looking for, like Ryan. We'll use his sales strategy here. Ryan's putting so much content out that if you're not in Ryan's community, if you're not deeply invested in his ecosystem, you're going to unfollow.
Yeah,
and that's what you want. If you're not going to be
level.
Yeah, so
you want to disqualify.
Same thing with a woman. From my perspective, for instance, when I met my wife, I wasn't, you know, I was womanizing. I wasn't in the best mindset in terms of walking an honorable walk. But I think you would disagree. I think you would agree with my strategy then. It worked out either way, but I think the tactic is, if you can find a girl with the self-respect, one, to not be comparing men that are interested in her to the athlete, if they're down to earth enough to really care about traditional values, and if they have the self-respect to not give it up like that. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I was looking for. And unfortunately, womanizing was the way that I found that. Because when I finally found someone with self-respect, a high-value woman, I was like, oh, this is great. This is different. This is what I've actually been looking for, and I didn't even know it. So I want to give guys a shortcut to your advice and say, you know, you don't have to sleep with the girl right away. You need to find the girl that can be on board with you standing up for your value as a man and saying, look, this is what I'm about. This is my adventure that I'm on. This is my journey. I'm leading this. I'm not apologizing for being a man. If you don't like my masculinity, see ya. You're not one of my people. And if you respect yourself enough to have values and want commitment from me, then we can talk.
Okay. So, so you threw a lot there. I think the reason you were able to do that, though, is because you had dealt with so many other girls before that you were able to discern if this girl is worthy of being a girlfriend. So, but the problem is that most guys never get to that level where they have the sexual experience to be able to figure out which girls are worthy and which ones don't. And here's the thing about modern day women that a lot of guys don't know. They will waste your time if you let them. So your job as the man is to figure out which girls are time wasters and which ones actually like you for you. Because unlike us, because guys tend to be like single tracked when it comes to dealing with women, we go out with a girl, we have a purpose, right? Women, however, when they go out with you, they might not have a purpose. They might want a free dinner. They might want some attention. They might just be bored that day. They might just want to be able to talk to somebody. So when women date, they have other motives in mind. So my thing is, what I tell guys is, when you go out with a girl, get rid of the time wasters immediately. Screen them out, because girls will waste your time if you let them. So for you, right, you had that sexual experience where you're able to come in, meet this girl. Okay, this girl qualifies for relationship material and I'll take it further. But a lot of guys don't get that experience because they haven't hooked up with enough girls, and they end up getting used and abused and, you know, taken on 10 dinner dates and wondering like what's going on here, and they have no clue.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, like, the other side of it is, like, for me, it was taking obviously a very different path to get, I guess, the disqualification out of the way, right? Like, I wasn't going around sleeping with girls trying to find the right one. I already was going into dating like, hey, I'm looking for a wife. And if you're not wife material.
When'd you meet her? You said 10 years ago, right? So 2012-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
We met in, around 2011.
You were what, 19, 20 when you met?
I was 22. She was 18, right? So we were super young. We got married. But I just knew from the get-go, just based on my faith, like, hey, I'm just trying to marry somebody, and like that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of girls who, they're not looking for that, right? Like they would be what you would call time wasters, where they'd be like, hey, you know, I'm just trying to date and have fun. I want to, you know, get married and have kids in my 30s, and I want to build my career. And
those are the worst.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we don't need to date.
Yeah.
Streets.
Peace.
Yeah. Like, so, you know, I knew what I was looking for, right? And it's like, Blake didn't know what he was looking for until he found it. You guys kind of already know what you're looking for. So like, that goes back to my original question was, for you guys, like, are you...
You met her when she was young and before Instagram.
100%.
Smart.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
It was a different era,
Yeah,
guys.
different
And
era. Like
I'm gonna say you're
I-
blessed, my friend.
Yeah,
I am
like,
blessed,
you're blessed.
1000%.
I don't
'Cause
think
that
I
is
didn't
not
have to
common.
deal with any of this crap we're talking
That
about.
is not
people
common.
don't understand how much social media has changed the game.
And
man.
TikTok too, by the way.
Like it has literally changed the game where if you think about it, every girl that's mildly attractive has an audience on social media and gets attention from
Right.
thousands of men.
That's true.
Right? That's what girls want is attention. That's their currency. Whereas most guys can barely take a picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And only the top 5% of guys get any attention.
Yeah. So it's like guys, right, are kind of fighting a losing battle here where girls have all these options and it skews their perception of reality. So
Yeah.
it is
Could you
what
imagine-
it is.
No, I get it. Then that's why when we were talking about it, I was like,
Yeah.
man, how would I date today if I was like,
But can you imagine?
you picked her at the great time.
Yo, but imagine being an average girl,
Hey,
right?
guys.
Where you're getting hit up by thousands of guys around the world. You're like,
Yeah.
you know what? Today I want to eat food. He's a foodie guy. Today he's gonna pay my rent. He's a rent paying
He's
guy.
the rent
and then
guy.
let's say tomorrow I want to go on a yacht. He's a yacht guy. So they can put guys in categories where, for example, us guys like, can they even get a date? Probably not. So it's really tough as a guy dating, but as a girl, it's super easy.
Easy mode, bro.
the thing we were talking about earlier of like, your first 10 years of life, your father figure really imprints on you. And just this whole idea of just being a man and masculine. Like, I think everyone who's on this show right now agrees, like, that is the way. Like, nobody's meant to be feminine. Nobody's meant to be soft. Like, nobody wants that, right? To be dangerous involves you actually learning skills that make you dangerous. You have the ability to fight. You have the ability. I went shooting last week in San Antonio. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Shooting skeet, having fun, and then like, doing all these things. Like, that makes me feel like more of a man than, filming a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's not because we want to be manly. It's not. It's because we were created with this heart that seeks adventure. And the narrative of the common woman or the common, man hater would be, oh, it's an insecurity derived urge to go be a man. But no, it's in us all. We just want permission.
Yeah.
We have an innate ability to want to protect.
Yeah.
And an innate ability to want to survive. An innate ability to succeed. It's in our DNA. We need more of that and less of, sorry, I'm going to say it, the Dylan Mulvaney's of the world.
I thought you were going to say less of what CNN and the world wants you to.
I mean, that's pretty much
That too.
that too, right? Like we're
Yeah.
glorifying, like, not to change the subject, but we're glorifying men or boys or whatever you want to call them that aren't good at their own sports, and then they go and dominate women, and they're winning awards for it. Like,
Yeah, no, that's the
how does
stupidest
that-
thing ever.
instead of the message, we need help. We need every man's help
Yep.
to embrace his wild heart, be dangerous, be capable, because there's not enough of us out there that to move the needle.
So to go back to my original question to the fresh and fit guys.
Yeah.
Like, what is, like, I guess the end goal of what you guys want to do? Like, do you guys both want to be married one day? One woman, kids? What's the deal?
And what's your current situation?
Because I don't think Andrew Tate wants to do that. So, like,
Let's start the boat off, man. I was married before, bro.
Okay.
Christian family, raised to, if you live with somebody, you should be married. Came to America, met a girl, great vibe, great energy, so to speak. And, really hit it off. And I had a choice to make. I'm about to move to my new spot, and she needs to move too. Either move in and be, playing house or be married. And I made a choice to be married. However, was I ready for what I was getting into? Definitely not.
how old were you at that time?
I was like 21,
Okay.
22, yeah.
All right.
So that experience taught me a lot, and I'm not gonna be. She wasn't a bad person, but it was more like, okay, cool. I was ready to be that person that she needed me to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I realized that, like, and her having a kid didn't help a lot either as well. So that whole process.
You all having a kid together, or her?
No,
She already had a kid.
She had a kid, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that whole process, bro, taught me a lot, and I decided at that point in time, like, you know what? I came to America to be successful and to really become a man of value, man of honor. And me being in this scenario is helping me with my goals. So, we got a divorce, moved forward, and then I got to more into, like, understanding who I was as a person, what I really wanted. And now it's more like I'm focused on my passion, on my purpose, and my business as well, the podcast. I have a co-host here that's amazing. And, like, we're building a brand here. So to me, that's very important. Now, along the way, I meet women that are beautiful, quality women of value. And they're part of my life. But to say I'm going to get married again, probably not. But once again, things can change. But for right now, I'm focused on the business.
Yeah, 100%.
We it's a controversial take, but we don't believe in marriage. We think marriage is a very dangerous institution for men in today's day and age. Now, I believe in nuclear families. I believe in having children. I believe in a man and a woman living together to create two-parent households because that is how children thrive. However, my thing isn't necessarily against marriage in itself. It's the institution of marriage with the state being involved.
The laws.
That's my issue because in today's day and age, we know women initiate 70 to 80% of the divorces. The guys always end up having to pay alimony or paying child support, whatever it may be. So there's just way too many dangers with marriage nowadays. Now, if I were to get, number one, I'd have multiple wives. I wouldn't be monogamous. Yeah, I'll never be monogamous. But that's one thing. And then if I did get married, I wouldn't do it with the state involved. I would do it where it would be done like Islamically, or it was just done with us where there's no incentive for the woman to break the contract. Because the problem with the way marriage is in the West, the United States, is that the state's involved and the woman is incentivized to break up with you to get the money a lot of the times. Now, is that all the time? No, right? There's plenty of people that have successful marriages. You guys are examples. But in general, most marriages fail. Right. And women initiate the breakups. So guys have a lot to lose. So my thing is, if you're going to get married, just don't get the state involved where she's incentivized to destroy your life to do so.
Where do you guys think wealth comes into the dating scene? Right, because for
it's
me,
very important.
Yeah, like for me, we were broke when we got married, so I knew she wasn't marrying me for money.
Yeah, you can trust her.
Yeah, like that wasn't the thing, right?
You're blessed.
So,
but she came from a Christian household, you said, right?
Yep,
She had religion. So there's always like whenever there's like buffers where they come from a good family, they're religious, etc. All these things come in and decrease the likelihood that you can be in a messed up relationship.
Yeah.
Right. But it's always a risk. But as far as going back to your question, it was
has wealth.
Yeah,
yes,
like how
wealth.
does wealth play into the dating scene these days?
So I think it's very important because girls, right, even the most successful women still want a guy that makes about 56% more money than they do. So,
that's the stat?
that's the stat. Yeah.
I'm like, dang, you just pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
56%.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research.
Demanding double.
So
if you find a baller chick, you better be
so if a
making
chick makes
some.
$100,000, she's gonna want you to make it about 156.
Yeah.
At
So
least.
because women typically don't want their equal. I mean, they'll settle on their equal every now and then, but the reality is women want men that are superior to them in every regard,
The
economically,
security
height, etc.
I mean, honestly, like looking at that,
when
I see women making more than the husband, I'm like, that's kind of got to be weird.
Oh, dude, it
Dude, it is.
actually drastically increases the likelihood of a divorce as
and,
well.
and cheating as well.
Yeah.
I believe
Because-
it.
because-
You don't feel like a man.
That
You
and then-
can't.
That and then also like women need to respect you first. When a girl makes more money than you, a lot of the times she loses respect for you. I hate to say it like that, but that's what it is. That's why I always say the woman is controversial. The girl has to like the guy more than he likes her.
Okay.
And the reason why is because the whole mating strategy for women is based in doubt. And what I mean by that is they need to constantly feel like they got the best guy that they can get. And the only way for them to feel and know that they got the best guy that they can get is for them to constantly be chasing your validation. And that means they need to like you more than you like them. And it works that way because it automatically puts you in an authority position, the leadership position. She's chasing you and she's more interested in chasing you versus all the guys that are chasing her. That's the only way really you're going to keep a girl loyal is she likes you more than you like her.
Yep.
That's how it's got to be. The man always has to have the leverage in the relationship because when women have leverage in relationships, they become terrible people. They start being bitchy, they start being rude, they start disrespecting you, they start emasculating you, etc. And then she gets into her masculine energy. And when she gets into her masculine energy, she can't be happy. So you need to be the leader at all times. All these guys that say this bullshit, oh, happy wife, happy life. That's cap. You need to be happy and then she's happy as a byproduct because when you're building up your empire and she's your secretary or she's helping you, she's your assistant, she benefits as a byproduct. But when you build up her empire, she's looking for someone better than you to replace you with. Men and women are not the same when it comes to hierarchies and social status. When women have leverage, they're terrible people. No offense.
No, it's exactly that.
In
because-
relationships.
Well, there's a leadership dynamic. Like men want to be respected and honored.
Yep.
But you have to deserve that respect and that honor. And if you're not the leader in
Yeah,
every
like
dynamic,
if she's a bigger baller than you and like a better leader than you, like you don't deserve her.
But money doesn't
Like-
solve all problems, though. So, for example,
Yeah.
let's say you're a guy with money, right? That's
Right.
great. You have access to way more girls. Girls want you, but why do they want you? That's the thing. So, as a man, you still need some game, some leverage, because let's say, for example, she finds a guy. Let's say his name is Tom, right?
Right.
Super successful, spends his whole life in his career focused on his business, right? But he doesn't understand how women work, their nature, how things are. What's gonna happen is she's like, oh, you know what? I hit a jackpot. This guy's rich. He'll do whatever I say. Perfect.
Yeah.
I know she wins.
The last thing you want to be is a rich simp.
Yeah.
Which is
Ooh.
like a guy that has money and girls just like use and abuse him. Like we always say, you got to shout out to our guy John from Modern Life Dating. We agree with him 100% on this. You got to have money, muscles, game, and frame. And by frame, as in like you have the ability to check your girl when she gets out of balance. Like, you know, a lot of guys are scared to tell their girl no, or that was stupid, that, you know, or, you know, be able to assert dominance to your girl when she needs it, because women, even though they won't admit it, they love a guy that can stand their ground and tell them, no, that's not how this goes, or put them in their place. There's a reason why 50 Shades of Grey is one of the most popular books for women. Women want an assertive, dominant man that can check her if they need to, because if he could check her, guess what? He could check a threat that's coming into the house. He could check a dangerous situation, etc. She needs to know that you're in charge and you got it. And her, you know, when she employs her little shit test, like, oh, no, it gives you some attitude. You need to check that immediately and let her know, who are you talking to?
Well, and
Do you want to know guys' biggest strength when it comes to dating?
indifference.
Yes, but also being able to walk away.
Yeah.
If you can't walk away from your girl from bad behavior or treating you poorly, then guess what's gonna happen to you? Oh, you tolerate that? I'm gonna go even harder because now I know you don't respect yourself.
I kick girls out of my house all the time, bro. I don't care. Like, but the thing is, they don't have to like me, but they must respect me.
Yeah.
So with what you mentioned about basically it's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, hey, like, what are the elements that make a man desirable, right? You got looks, money, charisma, you know, values,
full package,
right? Like,
yeah, you got to have it all in 2023.
Have to.
Well, I was going to ask, like, which ones are the most important, but you're saying you just got to be well-rounded.
Well,
if you want to say it, go ahead.
So I would say, okay.
How do you change looks? We can all get rich, but how do you affect
Gym,
looks?
bro. Like for example, nowadays, bro, I hate to say this, but like when someone says, "Oh, you're handsome," what does that even mean? So it could be a number of things. But if you look good, that's awesome. But is that enough to keep her, like, in your frame? Maybe not. So you need a full package. But go ahead.
Yeah, you got to have everything.
That's why I'm growing a beard for the first time, dude. Like, I got to change the look and like get more rugged.
Yeah.
I've never had a beard until now because I'm
So
like,
you ever seen those guys, right?
Guys.
That are not like the looking, but a hot chick. You're like, how's she with him?
Yeah.
He's like, but ugly. But once again, it's the frame. But go ahead.
Yeah, it comes down to like, you got to have everything, because what ends up happening, let's say you only have money, right? Well, what ends up happening is girls walk all over you, you get used, you get abused, you get, you know, all this crap, right? Or let's just say you're good looking, but you don't have money. Well, she'll have sex with you, she finds you arousing, but she doesn't necessarily respect you because you can't provide long-term security.
Yep.
Right? So it's really bad to have just one thing in abundance, but not have other things. So I tell guys in 2023, especially with the caliber of men that women have access to nowadays, you got to have everything. You got to get in the gym, be in shape. You got to get your money on point. You got to have frame. You got to be able to, you know, check a girl when you need to, and you just need to have everything. And it's kind of what you can kind of look at it as, like, you're like a dark gentleman. Like you treat her well when she deserves it, but you're also able to turn that off and let her know this is not how things go.
So what do you do if you're not willing to do that? If you're a man today, you're like not willing to put in the work, like you're just toast.
Oh, you're gonna have to settle
bro.
for fat chicks or girls that aren't that as attractive.
Forever single, no help,
or get used to
the nice
I've got a
guys.
hot take on it.
I didn't hear that nice was part of any of that.
Yeah, so
can't be nice.
What do y'all think of this? What you said about being willing to walk away?
Yeah.
I think that's going to go a long way for guys. No matter how you look, no matter who you are, there's a level of you command your own affection and you can give it away with control to women without hanging on their reaction to it. Mm-hmm. There's an indifference to, like, I'm going to speak my mind and make my desires known, and I'm pretty indifferent to your reaction to it. There's a ability, like with my wife, I love her so much, I'm willing to sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice to make sure she's provided for. But at the same time, there's a certain level of security that I command over her of, hey, these are the things that I'm removing from your scope of worry, and I'm indifferent to how you feel about it because I know that this is the direction for our family.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's a level of appreciation that
100%.
a woman will have for that.
You know what's crazy about society today is, like, you know, just biblically in the Christian faith, like, men are called to be the leader of the household. Like, we are called to do a lot of the things that we're all talking about here. Now, how we go about executing those philosophies can be different, but it's like taking even just the biblical approach to marriage of, like, the man's the leader.
Yeah.
You know, he's setting the standards, basically, like what we're all saying here. Like, you get canceled for it.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's not just biblical. If you look at, you know, Judaism, Islam. Every single society that has stood the test of time has been a patriarchy. Nothing ever works when women are in leadership roles. They don't know how to lead. They could barely know what they want to eat for lunch. So it's like men are far better at deductive problem solving, decision making, thinking on their feet, etc. Because if you look, and logically sound, because, you know, for all the feminists out there that get mad at me, why are all the top chess grandmasters men? Why are all the Formula One drivers men? There's no physical difference there. NASCAR drivers, men, right? You look at guys that are involved in engineering, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, men. It's because men tend to be better at certain things and women tend to be better at certain things. But we live in this clown world where women think that they're equal to men, and the reality is they're not. And within the confinements of a relationship, it's even more pronounced that we're not equal. And when a woman's in a leadership role, puts her in her masculine, makes her lose respect for you, and it eventually hurts the relationship and decreases the increases the chances of divorce. So guys need to be able to step up and say, okay, I'm going to be the leadership in this. I'm going to be the leadership in this relationship. And, you know, we have this funny saying on our show, you know, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We also don't negotiate with women. It's my way or the highway. Like, this is how it is. This is how I live my life. These are my boundaries. This is what I will accept. This is what I won't accept. These are the type of girls I date. These are girls I don't date. And the thing is, nowadays, I'll be honest, a lot of modern day women have hoe habits that are not conducive to long-term relationships. They want to be able to have you at home as a dutiful husband, boyfriend, paying the bills while they can go out and single girls nights out. That's unacceptable behavior to me. You expect me to be a leader, provide for you, give you this provisioning and security, have our children, all this other stuff, while you can go out and still act like you're single? No, that's clout world stuff. They want to still be able to keep their social media open so other men can hit them up. And I'm telling guys, if you're going to bear all this responsibility, you also need to have some level of authority in your relationship. And that means this is what it is. And obviously, you know, all you could do as a man is be indifferent and walk away if she doesn't want to comply. It's comply or goodbye. I don't want guys getting into relationships with women that think they can still do all the things they did when they were single. You're with me now. This is how it is. Social damn respect. Turn your Instagram off. Don't put pictures of your body all over the place. You want me to be the man in the relationship and be masculine at all times? I need you to be feminine at all times. None of this bitchy, annoying behavior. But we live in a crazy world where women can pick and choose when they want to be ladies. And I look at it like, as a traditionally masculine guy, where you're masculine all the time, it's not a good trait for you to be with a woman that's traditional, that's going to be selectively feminine, because she's not going to accept you wearing heels on Saturdays.
Right.
So why should you sit there and accept her arguing with you on Monday?
Yeah.
Out of here. My way or the highway.
So you said this in a very different way than I would say it.
Colorful.
But I do not disagree with the general message of what you said. But hey, I know you guys got your podcast coming up. I mean, we're already an hour. I could talk all day because I mean,
this was
it's
fun.
been a blast. It's been a lot of fun.
There was
for those who are interested. By the way, before we end it, guys, Wealthcon's coming up April 4th to the 6th. Make sure you guys come. Wealthcon.org. Over 1,000 entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and social media content creators are going to be there. You trying to build wealth? We can't help you get jacked or spit game and charisma, but we can definitely help you get rich.
Yep.
So come to that. And where can they find out more about you guys?
Fresh and Fit on YouTube, Fresh and Fit clips on YouTube as well. Rumble.com/Fresh and Fit.
Yep.
You know, we're over there because a lot of the things we say aren't YouTube safe. I kept it clean too for this one, somewhat.
That was clean.
That was clean.
And it's
colorful.
It's Fresh and Fit for health and fitness, and it's after hours for relationship dating. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have different shows. On Mondays, we cover money
Mondays
stuff, which actually we're going to put Ryan's episode up that we talked about real estate and investing, which was really great episode. And then Wednesdays is Womanizer Wednesdays. We talk about dating, you know, how to, you know, navigate the modern day dating marketplace.
We'll just give them this episode for that.
Yeah, there you go. And then Fridays is like call-in show similar to this, or Fitness Friday, where I go over like, you know, how to get in shape, how to build muscle, whatever. So we try to do the complete package, bring guests on.
Myron has Fed channel where you cover.
Oh yeah, I cover criminal cases. I do true crime.
Oh,
so I cover serial killer
Where's
cases.
That at?
Fed at 1811. It's a whole other YouTube channel I do, where I like basically from my training experience, like I cover cases and I give like another insight. Sometimes I'll watch documentaries. Sometimes I'll cover cases. I'll probably cover the Trump indictment that's coming up very soon here.
That's cool.
And
if you want to see our life outside the studio, I have a vlog channel, Freshman CEO. You can watch us behind the scenes when we travel, like here in Vegas. And I have a network called CEO Network, where I cover, for example, how to be successful, meet millionaires, how to network in public, in person, all that good stuff there too as well.
Yeah, just trying to help guys become better so they don't
All
simp.
around.
No, I love
man.
it.
We need it. Keep
Yeah,
building
dude.
up.
Too many simps, man.
Keep building them up, man.
Yeah, I'm not down with the Sims either, so
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Anyways, guys, it's been good having you guys on. If you guys enjoyed this, we do this every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. We're gonna have other amazing guests like Fresh and Fit, so make sure you join and put it in your schedule. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're gonna like, and all you gotta do is click it right here. Linking it right here. All you gotta do is just click it, and you're gonna see this new episode that you're gonna love.